typical here. So yeah, I would agree that VP.
Yeah, and for VP as well, getting the the all-powerful carry of the meta through as the final pick. Did that sort of surprise you here, or do you think Empire did consider that it was still in the pool and that they feel that they do have heroes to deal with the Wraith?
I mean, we haven't seen Wraithing much in the last 2 days, but we saw it a ton of. So it surprised me a bit that it kind of popped up once again. But it is still very effective at laning, pressured very much compared to most heroes, and it should be semi against like Pugna.
See if we have any moves from setups in the lanes. And have Sayu coming up to take the Bouncer Rune away from him. He's going to be able to grab it. So 3 runes to start for Empire.
A little expensive. A lot of his reach.
The next label play.
Good luck getting in late time soon.
Oh, and well, he might just die here. A save. He's able to hit another stun. They're actually going to be able to get the kill. So 3 runes go the way of Empire, but VP able to find that first blood with the excellent sort of chase and catch those 2 heroes have together at level 1.
Solid. Oracle heads back to the bot lane. On the right side for Clock, at least he's going to have full HP and still have his item. Not the worst, but obviously very good. Not good that Oracle's being faster boost.
Interesting to see how this mid matchup's going to go down. GPK definitely the more well-known of the players here in this matchup, and sort of as it goes with the heroes, Void Spirit versus Bat. How do you sort of expect this lane to go down?
I mean, Void Spirit's definitely going to be able to get last hits at a couple levels, but barrier once Bat Rider picks 4, then Void Spirit has to be ready to use this. But a worst case scenario, he gets up and go ganking on the map, so a Bat Rider cannot. But they both have options, and I don't really expect GPK. He's a very, very good.
Yeah, and in terms of the side lanes, where is the feeding the most likely to happen? Like when you sort of look at the setups, who's in the scariest position the soonest in this sort of game?
Trying to get me to do the observers. Let's see. Line has to be a little careful. I think Grimstroke is most to get killed in this. I think the dual offlane for Empire, the Pugna plus Clockwork, unless they catch Oracle by himself, I don't really see happening in Radiant's. So I guess the Radiant offlane and the Dire safe lane, most likely where we see kills, but obviously the Void Spirit Bat Rider could go bad. There are good plays.
Yeah, and in terms of sort of how both teams are going to be able to take objectives, I mean, I imagine, with the lineups that they do have, it's a little easier for Empire, right? With sort of this Pugna, having the Jug with the healing ward, sort of this ability to group up and take objectives, whereas VP, they don't necessarily have the best tower hits as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. Wraith King obviously is very good at pressuring the map, even if he's not there with his skeletons. But because their opponents have decent tower hitters, good tower pressure, they've got really good of a Bat Rider, which is harder to defend these towers. It absolutely should be a little easier. The opposite side, they're still gonna have an Oracle sitting tower pushers. Tide is not gonna have to worry too much about initiation, so they've got good things going.
Yeah, and I guess that's sort of the strengths that VP do have, having heroes as that Tide and the Oracle. They've got plenty of ways to sort of set up, just having Tide come in, just stand in front of a tower, and having solid backup to make sure that they don't allow Empire to get away with any of the early objectives when Empire do start to group up and hunt for the action. CIS at the moment across the lanes. VP coming out slightly ahead. Every single lane of it. The mid lane in particular being the one where there is the biggest difference. GPK coming out solidly on top of it. 19 for 6 against the 13 for 1 on Wins Bat as bottom. Attempt onto Shura, but each time Cogs will be able to provide good safety. A little hard for Kingslayer and Nightfall to really close the gap on the Pugna at the moment. And not that Nightfall's going to be too concerned. He's more than happy just continue to focus on the creeps and don't need to spend any time chasing for kills as still standard. Top CS at the moment.
The nicest thing about having a Clockwork with these, who normally can just get ran at, but getting past Cogs is just good. GPK with this nice last hitting, a lot more base damage than Bat Rider, so contest last hits, but also use Resonant Bolt to secure other ones. Been pretty ready to saving a skill point as well in case he needs to accumulate to stay alive from a go from Bat Riders. So far, having a really
Yeah, and I guess when it sort of comes to the mid, it's like, are either side, do they sort of have mobile supports? Because for the most part, I mean, we just see Stay sort of come over towards the mid lane, but he didn't continue to chase in and actually go for any action. Yeah. Can either team sort of make any rotation to sort of break up this a bit of a stalemate we're having earlier? You know, 5 minutes in, only one kill, and that one kill, of course, being before the creeps had even spawned. No actual sort of hunting happening yet in this.
You're right, rotations are a little hard. The clockwork roam mid to check of course, and be able to help as big fights off those and that line going.
Yeah, that's the combo that's going to be all very strong at this early stage with the Inkswell and the Blade Fury. Empire having very solid ways of getting in on top of the line in these positions where he's just going to find himself a little too out of position, trying to hold that area and set up for the bounty room. Wasn't to be the case. Will finally break the peace and quiet that we have had for the last 5 minutes.
Things are a bit tough for stroke and line for both. A nice healing will back up, and they should be able to pretty easily get these last hits under towers. Don't see any stacks yet for Tide, so he's going to lane most likely, try to limit Jug's farm. Where you have an advantage where his mana's low. So you can just contest every last hit he wants to go through by luring hard for going mid.
See a bit of attention around especially around the 6 minute point of the setup. Two supports moving in perfectly there,
really
synchronized, yeah, from both sides, just pincering in and locking him down.
And the fact that he ate the remnants in the middle of a creep wave, I don't think Bat expected that. If he doesn't land that disable, it's a little bit harder to get that grab, because it would have taken Oracle throwing Fortune's End with line falling up, but in that initiate. The Dire Wards, they did have that ward spotting mid, so might have spotted the line, but certainly he gets out of that.
Top lane, try and turn and trade back onto DMA with the Blade Fury Inkswell, but a TP comes into play straight away. GPK is ready to turn around the action. They know as soon as Smiling Knight uses the Blade Fury aggressively, yeah, GPK's just there immediately. He knows that that's an easy kill for him to find.
Really cool itemization on the Tide as well. He bought a bracer like normal, but also got a really fast cloak. He knows that his kill threats are magic damage. Bug spin, Inkswell, Grimstroke nukes. That is going to allow him to survive through this one. That's why they're ready to. Really smart, fast item pickup.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see sort of what Smiling Knight does after that sort of series of events, because it just goes to show that he can kind of never really play aggressive in that top lane with the Blade Fury if they're not 100% sure that GPK hasn't got his TP up and is going to be able to react. He's definitely going to have to play a lot safer now in this top, and unable to really look to continue to try and push for action with that Inkswell Blade Fury combo now that the levels are up on VP's heroes.
Scary part, though. They can go in line, but against Tide, not so much.
Yeah.
Not that much mana on Tide, though. Cannot do a Ravage here, but be very pleased to take away from the Strokes, trying to stabilize them, but it's the danger. Because Tide is pretty safe, it's going to allow a line to roam. Maybe go on mid.
Starting to look towards Gwyn. Going to have to set up here. Remnant into the rune, of course, save. He's still got a stun to go. GPK grabbing up the DD rune, and they've certainly got the damage to take down Gwyn. It's 8 minutes in, 4-1, into a 2 to 3k lead already here for VP as they're off to a very hot start. And GPK in particular, he's on track to have a very quick Orchid this game on the mid Void Spirit.
So effective, and this is partially because they have stuff cores that can sit in these lanes. They don't necessarily need the supports to always be there. So they produce kills on the Bat Rider, the guy that's to create action on the Empire side. If not Bat Rider, who's going to do it later? Pugna can sometimes do this. It's like Void Spirit or even Wraithing who have escaped. It's not looking good for Empire if the Bat's going to get off the Ridden.
Yeah, for sure. Gwynny, if he sort of goes down another time in this lane, it's going to be a very hard game for him to recover. We'll see how safe he does want to play. He's 1300 into the recipe for his bots. He's certainly going to do his best to get that done before he finds himself in any sort of action that the VP have been doing a good job at bringing towards him so far. Of course, this is all giving space for Nightfall down bottom, 2,200 gold in towards the Relic. Looking to hit a solid timing with that, and unless Empire is able to make some sort of move. They do have Seiyu and Eknart coming down here together, but it feels like this is... It's going to be hard for these three heroes to really kill Nightfall, especially with this reincarnation up and the likelihood that VP, they will react if they do come searching for the Wraith King.
Dre Skeleton ends up spotting out the Grimstroke. Not that the ward didn't see, but they're going to sit around pressuring the tower, give them something to do, but the faster that this Orchid comes out, everything just gets really dangerous from the far side, especially if you get Void Spirit on top of Juggernaut and get a silence off before he does any skills. That's probably the biggest way to get destroyed in this game. It's Orchid timing and successful games.
Yeah, absolutely. As you say, you know, with the Jug, he's going to be a long way from having any sort of dispel. He's going for the standard, that Battle Fury build-up, but will leave him incredibly vulnerable against that sort of single target silence that GPK is going to have, especially when you consider his lineup, the team around him. Nobody's really got any sort of saves. Sure, a defensive Decrepify could be offered, but it's not like the VP don't have good magical burst save. Once he's hit the 6, Jug's going to get blown up sometimes if the finger's up and a Decrepify has been used in an attempt to keep him safe.
Yeah, absolutely. And Line's levels are a little behind here. He's just a little bit over 5 at the just past the 10 minutes. But giving Oracle that ulti with the tome, which is more important, it's gonna help offset and make sure the GP can die in a moment like this.
Empire can get hit. They really need to make a big hit with the smoke. TP's already coming in from VP, though. They're going to have the numbers and they're prepared for this action. Who's going to start it off? Eknart tries with the Phantom's Embrace, but GPK, he actually jumps straight across him. Let's go into the middle of all the action where the 4 heroes are standing. And now Empire down a member. They've got to be careful. Stay laying down the cogs, trying to get out, but GPK's able to close him with the step and dissimulate. Blows up another. I mean, DM, he's going to enjoy, he's actually going to have to enjoy quite a bit of time on the cliff. He's up there for a full minute, Perk.
Yeah, that's not very good. A little too early for a step from an Allen.
Oh, I mean, this is sort of the handicap that was needed. You know, Empire, they might not have killed anyone, but Tide is on the cliff for a minute. It's got to be worth something.
Radiant's middle tower.
I mean, but the downside is you're still up 3k net worth on the VP side. I kind of feel like it could have killed the Batrider line, ended up Pex to grab the Clockwork, but Clockwork wasn't 6 yet, so in hindsight, maybe better to secure the Bat kill. But they still have Finger of Death ready to go, and that's why they're smoking and going for a kill. They got Orchid too. Anybody in the game dies this, except for maybe like a Tide Hunter type hero, but Empire side's got to be scared.
And they might not, you know, you don't expect this when the Tide's on a cliff. Now the question, I wonder, can Empire set up to, you know, do you try and keep this Tide up here? Can you sort of prepare for in a minute, when he is going to have the TP back up? We'll see. It looks like they won't be able to do so. As DM, he's going to have the TP back up now, so he will finally manage to leave the solitude cliff. Meanwhile, over in the jungle of Empire, save out alone. Empire won't be able to take down that Lion. No trouble at all.
This is the issue with Lion 4. It's you have tons of disable, but your movement speed is definitely way below average, and you are very squishy. But you have really powerful abilities to compensate for that. So normal 4 might be able to get out of that kind of danger by standing in position, but not. And the problem is he can't stand behind his team on the other side of the river, because if he is, then he's not in position to use his important disable. So you kind of have to put yourself in these dangerous areas when you play a Lion like. But on the bright side, Tide is back on the map finally. His opponents did not know that he was up there, so eventually gets back into farming, and his net worth still sitting fine, but that definitely cost him a couple hundred net worth.
Oh yeah, for sure, absolutely. Knocked him down a little bit. Of course, though, for him and the team, not too many worries on VP, as both GPK and Nightfall just continue to hit some excellent timings on these items. Nightfall, Radiance is going to be done within the minute.
So fast, actually. Incredible speed. So Radiance finished for him. Void Spirit's also top net worth with the Orchid. We haven't seen him getting a kill with it just yet, but importantly, this is buying time for Tide to pick up a Blink Dagger. That's kind of what they needed in that last fight. Going mid though.
Nightfall, he's ready to start some action, starts to run down the Pugna. TP's coming in.
Cool. Haven't seen Mech that much lately. It ended up becoming a lot worse when it didn't provide armor aura, so we saw a lot less as like typical offlane heroes. But this game, it's a nice way actually to take these like squishy in heroes and make them better against with survivability. You get this armor aura with Buckler, you pick up a Greaves, and now all the HP that he has is going to go way farther and make him less of a vulnerability. He won't just die instantly to every initiation, as we just saw there.
A bit of a showing for VP around mid to stop Empire from getting in. We're going to have Empire go towards DM top. Very tanky with it, but they have got a lot of heroes.
The perfect counter though. Phantom's Embrace that does not get removed by Kraken Shell. So with that skill, no reflection from Tide to stop his death from coming.
Still going to see VP try and make a move despite losing the Tide as Save. Smoked up behind Nightfall. Nightfall, of course, as we said, with this Radiance already done, ready to battle. Going to keep the pressure on this mid tower. And looks like Empire are just going to let this go. Not feeling confident that they can do anything right now to push back this approach from VP.
How they invade with that tier 1 dead, they're going to feel really confident to move through, especially with their already set up wards here. Void Spirit looking for anybody. If he spots them, he's going to go. So Grimstroke's got to be careful. But Grimstroke also wants to fight potentially. Team rotating back over there. They got hook shot. They're a little low in mana for clock, but they'll be able to defend. Let's see if they can get the D wards. It's a really important moment here when your opponents do leave your jungle like this. But I think the other ward is going to stay just out of that sentry ring.
Perfectly placed. Well, looks like pretty much the full duration out of it, VP. They'll look back over towards the mid. I mean, again, Empire sort of moving as 4, making sure that they are securing space for Jug to get his Battle Fury done, and it is there. So Smiling Knight, he's got his farming item. See if he can sort of step up to the pace of Nightfall farm on the Radiance Wraith King. Mid lane jumps made, and onto the Pug.
Oh my god.
No chance there.
So much damage. I mean, he had Greaves, so he got to remove the Orchid, but then the problem is that what do you got afterwards? They have tons of magic damage still with the Oracle showing up in position. So these wards just giving them all the gives that they want. They spot their opponents, they can initiate. That's all they need to do. Slow the game down. Jug does have Battle Fury now, but his net worth is behind Wraith Kings. Generally, Wraith Kings are able to stay like keep even in farm speed with Battle Fury type heroes due to all of the advantages you get from the skeletons. So as long as VP keeps the pressure up, they should be able to hold this advantage, but it will still come down to like later game stages of the fights. But with Tide having Blink Dagger, I don't really see their initiations being weak.
He's down bottom, GPK. Gone aggressively on to Smiling Knight. Hookshot's going to be dodged very nicely by GPK with the haste rune. He's able to continue to run. Quinn, he's looking for the lasso. He'll be able to lock it down onto the Oracle, so they'll get at least Kingslayer out of this. But they won't be able to catch anything more as GPK is able to disengage. So it is something, but it is just a support.
Play there from the Oracle. He used the Shadow Amulet to be invisible, and what he was waiting for was a lasso. I'm not here, you guys can't see me, nobody can initiate on me, but then the random flame break that was meant for Void Spirit pushes him out of it, and then he gets killed. Pretty funny.
And Empire will get another one out of this. Save still hanging around in the jungle whilst Empire continue to sweep across, and both supports taken out. Again, a little bit of distraction really as Nightfall continues to get a lot of space on this top half of the map, already having the Sange done over the Radiance. Smiling Knight will come in to hold the defense, continuing to try and do his best to catch up with the Wraith King. I mean,
Empire's doing a great job though. I mean, considering the fact that Void Spirit had the Orchid so early, like he hasn't died since he got the Orchid, but it definitely feels like his impact has been underwhelming from what we expected.
No, for sure, yeah, hasn't really been able to find Smiling Knight in a position where that early Orchid has really caused huge issues for the Jug. Smiling Knight consistently in positions, even when we did see PK make that move on him down bottom with the Orchid, where it was unlikely that anything other than the Void Spirit would have been able to get to him in time, and it was the case. Void Spirit alone just not quite doing enough damage as a solo hero to take this Jug from 100 to 0.
And most of the advantage that's coming from all these skirmishes is wards, and if you look at the map, there's a stupid abundance of sentry wards for both sides. They know that vision is everything here between opponents like Batrider, Clock. On the Radiant side, obviously, Void Spirit's looking for any heroes he can find with Orchid. Tied with Blink now is obviously going to look for an initiation. So here's the replay of that gank. He did as much damage as he could through the Orchid, and he got him kind of low. But if not for this Observer ward, he definitely dies. Maybe not definitely. Yeah, probably gets caught, lassoed for sure. In some ways, it would have been better if that happened, because then Oracle would have removed the lasso, and maybe that would have bought him time to get some return. But or escape, for example. But either way, Virtus.pro is continuing their map pressure with their vision. They're going to definitely work at this tier 2 on the top lane. It's only got 1,000 HP left, and that's going to open up shrines and make it even harder for Empire to ever spend any time in their own jungle. And by proxy, then it gives VP this massive Rosh advantage, because then they've got both of their towers close to Rosh up, and then they would control the shrine there. They could easily buy back and take fights there, and then all they need to do is maneuver Empire towards the bottom side of the map. Then they can all go top and Rosh easily. So the game is still looking pretty good with for VP with this gold advantage.
Now the thing is for Empire, they obviously do have some pretty cool combos to play around with the soul binds, the lassos. Is this sort of something that VP is going to be very scared of as a lineup, or do they have sort of sufficient counterplays to that sort of combo that Empire's going to try and bring to them?
I think the obvious way to deal with it is just to initiate first. If your opponents do find there's a BKB on Batrider, so he's pretty protected against like a Ravage initiation, but if they can grab a Soulblind double lasso, yeah, it's going to be really bad for VP. We've only got one way to offset that, and that's going to be like Blink Ravage or Oracle spells. So, but again, it's all about position.
Down bottom, Gwyn.
Duels.
Quite.
Use duels to set that one up.
Empire's going to be a bit careful. VP there, sweeping right round. See if they can catch them on the retreat. Jumping with Ravage. It will clip onto the clock, but Gwyn, quick with the BKB. Out with the TP. Say might still be in a bit of trouble here, but he's got the hook shot. He's underneath the tower, and VP they won't be able to chase any further. So a nice disengage there from Empire. Ravage down, nobody losing any life really for it. Just a BKB charge down the drain, and Gwyn's more than happy to spend that to keep himself alive.
Yeah, and actually importantly, this wasn't the worst for VP. They should be able to get this tier 1 tower, and they got the tier 2 top already. They got the shrine too, so no experience bonus from shrines coming. VP gets map control. They're going to bait the tri-camp now.
GPK straight up. He's going to be able to find the Yule setup. Phantom's Embrace coming over, but he's able to dodge it with the Simulate. They look to burst through the clock first. They'll be able to get him. Sayu goes down. DM forcing back the rest of them. And Smiling Knight can't really find a good target to commit him with the Omni Slash, so has to continue to hold it. Empire, they'll take the rest of them out of that. They're losing the clock on the front, but still it's VP again continuing to just grow their advantage. DD Rune also spawning top. VP certainly could look to get something achieved with that.
GBK is doing such a good job leveraging his high net worth in such aggressive ways. He jumps in, spots enemies. He knows that if they go on him, he's relatively safe. He'd had duels. He's even got an Essence Ring as well, so his survivability is like massive at this point in the game. And because Bad didn't have BKB realistically, it's not going to be easy for him to initiate. And GPK crucially saved his Orchid in that fight too, so that things got a little bit hairy after that initiation. He could always ideally prevent Batrider from going in, but here they go. They're going to smoke and try to take this fight, knowing they're rotating.
If they can find the timing with the jump, Gwyn can get in there, roll forward with the BKB, and get a lasso. Could set something good up. VP playing it smart, though. As soon as they know that Empire's hunting, they back out of the... No one look to overcommit. They know that even if they leave this area for and sort of split back up, it's incredibly unlikely that Empire's lineup of heroes is able to get into the Rosh pit and really take it themselves, so VP can play relaxed.
It's not worth it until they have Ravage anyways. 20 seconds to go, then they'll have a better chance to fight to the death. They'll lose the tier 1 for sure, unless they initiate on Pugna right now. He's going to blast this down. So mid tower will fall, giving a little bit more map control for Empire. But still, the net worth advantage is creeping more and more towards VP. They have more threats on the map. Their heroes are harder to kill generally. S&Y finished now on Wraith King, just to reduce the amount of disable he's going to be hit with, either from decreps or from lassos, so definitely gonna make it easier for him to avoid being kited constantly.
Looking at sort of the way that the GPK is continuing to spend his net worth, he's soon to have the boots of travel done, and do you like sort of the fact that he's getting this rather early this game as the Void Spirit?
I like it this game, especially because his opponents have kind of limited disables. And as a result, like between Astral Step and a Yule Scepter, he should be able to avoid everything mostly, and just having BOTs is going to allow him to just constantly outrun the guys with weaker disables like Pugna, or chase down heroes like Grimstroke who can't defend themselves well. So, and split push advantages too.
See, Roshan, VP are going for it. They also look to make the jump over towards Day. Then you are scouting on the high ground, looking for an opportunity to get him with the hook shot. Now play him up quickly. Sayu goes down. Empire now just with the 4 of them. It'll be very hard to sort of get back over here. Roshan down to half HP. Now Clock sort of their best initiator right now. Not really too much Empire can do about this. And they're just going to split up, try and take what they can from the map whilst they know that VP's in it, but have no intention of actually trying to fight VP with their Clock down.
Yeah, they wanted to for sure, but GPK once again leveraging the lack of disables. He's sitting aggressive, his smoke breaks, and he just jumps, knowing that he's going to be able to initiate on somebody and probably survive afterwards. If they have better disables on the Empire side and they could actually react to this Void Spirit, it would be less scary for them to take that engagement. But everybody on BP reacts correctly. The smoke breaks, everybody leaves the pit, they get the 1 kill, then they finish Roach, knowing their opponent's contest at that. So the farm advantage continues.
See Smiling Knight just about to finish the Manta. I mean, as sort of the jug in this game, do things ever sort of get any better in terms of the matchups, or is it always going to be a hard game against a Wraith King that's the sort of an item ahead of you?
It's definitely going to be hard for the obvious fact that Omni Slash is like your big team fight skill, and he's got his ulti. So ideally what you want to do is Omni Slash the backlines if possible. Like I'm talking the supports ideally, or to Omni Slash a guy that's lassoed. That way you can finish him off for that initiation. But that's going to come down to his teammates playing effectively. And the fact that he has to buy Manta afterwards is completely on the fact that his opponents have Orchid and good disables to deal with him. So he's got a kind of dangerous game, especially once Save's got his Blink Dagger now online as well. So he's got to be very careful about spinning at the right time or initiating. I wouldn't be surprised. He's going to go at to jump in, but I was thinking maybe Blink Dagger as well. He needs a way to be able to jump in, do damage without being disabled on the way in, either by Ravage or Save or the Void Spirit. It's a tough game for a Jug this game, for sure. I felt a little surprised when he ended up getting picked there in that 4th phase against the Tide.
Yeah, because so far he's been able to farm, decently. Of course, nothing near to the level of Nightfall, but other than that, he's not really been able to achieve too much. Not really seen any opportunities for him to get any of the action with any of the Omni Slashes. To the point, I don't even know if he's used it at all really this game. It just hasn't happened.
Either.
Yeah.
So it doesn't necessarily do amazing against Tide, at least once Tide picks up the cloak in lane and survives like he did. It doesn't do that great in the other hero matchups. Obviously, he didn't know that the Wraith King was coming, but just makes the game really hard here for the Empire side to take engagements. Block on the map, but almost for sure going to die for this.
Easy setup. I say losing his life yet again, continues to have a pretty rough game on the clock. 0, 5, and 1. Just hasn't been able to achieve too much at all, apart from just I guess dying for his team, but definitely nothing more than that this game.
He gave Pugna a better lane. That was the best thing that he's accomplished for sure, that Pugna did not get behind him. Pugna's sitting 2-1 and 2. He's got Greaves and he's got Aetherlens, but it's a little too hard for them to take engagements. The Clockwork 6 came pretty late and later than they needed. They needed fights by then. Barrow had a below average game due to those nice ganks, so it's just all cascaded into BP having this big.
He's starting to take a poke at the high ground hit. We'll see GPK head out towards the top lane. Let's push that out. I don't want to try and go for the high ground siege yet. Still got 2 minutes left on the Aegis to make moves.
Really early gem picked up Tide here. And I also love the pipe that he's picked up. His opponents, they have great counter push, but it's all nukes. And they've done this a couple times. They're just piping skeletons while they hit buildings because they know it's going to make them get 100 more damage in before they end up falling. So they've got great items to control the map here. 10k gold advantage now on the VP side, while Empire struggles to get map control. I mean, and it's, as you said, with that pipe, the thing is, even if Empire are able to get some sort of soulbind 2-man lasso, are they going to have the damage to kill any of these heroes when they're locked down? Yeah, it's hard now, especially like Pugna is all about dealing magic damage. Barrier's really good against Decrepify because it blocks the damage before it's amplified by anything. So pipe across the board is going to help counteract Pugna. It's definitely going to help against Batrider, it kind of comes down to Omni Slash, and while Jug is doing okay north, he's 5k behind the Wraith King now. So, and he's getting Ags afterwards, so he's just dealing damage with Battle Fury and Manta Style. Like, maybe he'll get a really good neutral item that'll help amp his damage up, but I'm not feeling it right now.
Just need to step up straight away there, as will that actually be able to keep him alive, or maybe not. The final astral step for GPK does get the kill done. He turns over the wall, and that'll be another silence in with the Orchid. No escape for Patushura, as VP just taking them what they want here. It's just so hard for Empire to fight whilst they're down 12-5, 12k lead. And GPK, look at him, just aggressively jumping up into the base. He knows that he's not going to get punished for this. The setup's there. Ravage to follow up for TM, catching onto the three of them. They take down Gwynblood. Smiling Knight trying to spin away with the Blade Fury. He will manage to make it out of there and away from this aggression of VP. VP more than happy to turn their attention over towards the tier 3. Well, I should say that they're going to be a little careful with the Tide being as low as he is. GPK Aegis is now expired, but as you can see, still full HP and full mana, of course, thanks to Aegis regeneration.
They're just playing it super safe. Ravage gets used. Batrider not fearing the chain stun that came out there. He didn't want to pop BKB after Yule's ended. If he did and they didn't go in, it just would have been awful for him, right? BKB's down, now we can't fight, but they burn everything. In some ways, this is better. They lose their hero, but their rack stays alive. But it's really just buying VP more time to control the whole map and compound this net worth advantage that they have. So, game's still looking bad here.
It's going to be a tough one. I mean, Empire, this sort of lineup, when it comes to sort of defending the base, I guess, you know, if they can get sort of a lasso and get someone in nice and deep under the tier 4s, there's an opportunity, but other than that, holding the high ground doesn't necessarily seem like their lineup's going to come into a different sort of element at that point of the game.
This illusion just revealed their smoke. Empire playing on high octane, knowing they're behind. Use the Phantom's Embrace on an illusion without smoke being broken, and now they know. See if they get a good fight with this. No Rabbit for 60, but can they grab the right person?
I mean, Gwyn's in with the BKB. He's looking for a target. He will finally manage to lasso the Oracle. Omni Slash coming out, but it's just not got the damage to back it up. They do at least find one. They'll get Kingslayer. But now, Smiling Knight, he's got to get on a retreat. Nightfall DM, they're able to jump in, get themselves on top of Patushura. Over towards Gwynblood and Smiling Knight, they go. Gwynblood able to find the blink in time. Outside, it's just another one. Yes, Stayu going down. VP just so strong right now. 15k lead and just growing by the 1,000 every minute as it seems. This Abyssal Blade is going to be done very shortly for Nightfall.
They're doing so good. I mean, it was arguably an okay initiation. Batrider wanted to target the Oracle. If he does not, then his ulti gets countered, but had some vision issues there. And eventually does lasso him. They get the kill, but it took basically everything, including Omni Slash, to pick off that support. And Pugna ends up getting worked down eventually too. So tough fight there for Empire. And that was without Ravage, by the way. So it's only going to get worse from here, especially if their opponents initiate. So VP weathering the storm there. We'll see if they can get more picks. Nightfall is going to find some here.
Quick jump. Correct, no.
How did that Swift Slash give you a lot of confidence in Empire's ability to win this game?
I mean, that's Swift Slash into a swift death from Jug. Smiling Light is gone, and well, we might be seeing the G's. Yep, there we have it. There we have it. This was a rough one. It was anticipated to be a rather one-sided matchup, and this game one purge is kind of looking to be that way, as VP just cruising in this first game.
Yeah, the VP got the core matchups they wanted to. Their Wraith King had a pretty good lane matchup. Didn't necessarily have the best chance to get kills, but the Wraith King is going to Wraith King. Their offlane Tide survived the early magic nuke pressure with a smart, fast cloak and bracer.
Unstoppable. Dire team ban. Virtus.pro team ban to ban. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Virtus.pro's turn to ban.
Game 2 is incoming, and will the ferocious polar bears, aka Virtus.pro, do it again here in their first Upper Division series? Empire also in their first Upper Division series. They need to step it up. They need to come in with a better plan, because if they do the same thing as what they did in Game 1, it is going to be a fast day for all of us here. I'm joined by Brian on the big screen. We have Kyle and Cap still here with me as well. And we are ready to jump into the draft of that second game. And I think, Kyle, is very simple. What you do not want to see, wait for it. There is no bad first pick. Because it's banned, you're safe.
Nice. And polar bear fact, they are one of only 2 animals that will stalk humans. They see us as prey. They're murderous. That's just what VP was in that first.
10 seconds.
What's the other animal?
Guess.
I don't know. I imagine it's some underwater creature.
Nope.
Really? Lions?
Hippos!
Tigers.
Tigers it is.
Okay,
Cap, you get a gold
that's
star.
That's why you have the masks on the back of your head.
Yep.
The masks that make it look like you have eyes in the
Tigers
head?
only attack from, they don't want you to see them. They attack from behind you. So this guy realized if you wore a mask on the back of your head, the tiger would get confused. He was actively stalked by tigers, but didn't know how to attack him. So it didn't.
That's pretty good.
And that's what Empire's doing right now.
Yes.
Doesn't it work on polar bears?
Polar bears, no.
Polar bears don't care. Polar bears see you see them, and they're just like, what up?
If you exist, you are food.
We about to make this white area real red.
You know what I see already is, like, as terms of food? Crystal Maiden. Definitely, generally food for a lot of people. What do you think of the opening so far, Brian?
I think the Monkey King into Phoenix is a bit questionable, but I think what they're going for is to get the favorable matchup against the Void Spirit. I imagine that they want to kind of follow the Void Spirit. If it's a 3 position, they'll make it carry. If it's a 2 position, they'll make it mid. So I'm kind of curious if Team Empire will maybe demote it to a 4 position just to not make this Monkey King pick nearly as effective as it is intended to be.
Pros turn to ban. Dire team ban.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I thought there was more.
That's it.
Yeah, kept it short and sweet.
Virtus.pro
Beautiful.
turn to ban.
I know. Cap's got his stopwatch out, so I gotta.
You know, I was like thinking about it. I was like, I wonder if BSJ heard that at all. If he just immediately bounced after giving his.
Yeah, I will say this Monkey King is fluctuating priority. A lot of teams are picking it
10
up
seconds
first two.
remaining.
I see it banned most often in second phase. It's like right on the
5
fringe
seconds
of,
remaining.
is it something you can't first do? I like it a lot when a team like OG does it, because they'll play it off lane as well. And I think
team
that
back.
makes the hero just way more formidable, just because you can abuse the laning matchup so much better.
I mean, I personally think Monkey King's kind of a broken hero.
Yeah,
I feel
the
like
Ags.
he was good, and then they gave him an Aghanim
Yeah.
Scepter, and now I feel like in many ways he's broken. Then they also gave him a Shard, which is
Yeah.
huge quality of life
10
increase well.
seconds
So
remaining.
I don't know. I just not entirely sure this hero's good in lane. He
5
gets to
seconds
he
remaining.
rolls up to a point where it feels like he is able to do so many things with the Aghanim Scepter, taking Roshan, taking buildings, all this team fight. I'm always okay with the team 1-2ing the king because I just don't feel like there are many weaknesses here.
Do you feel like you should be able to do something about the Ag statues? Because like consider Clinks, where you have an Ags, now you can have like the bonus Clinks army things out of Invis, but you can kill those. You can't do anything to the stone monkeys.
I think they should at least go inert if Monkey King goes away first. Where he just leaves statues on the ground and they're still beating on people, even though he's far away.
He's like, yeah, he's up in the tree. And
Or
watching.
like that's also he sieges tier 3 for a bit. He walks back his stand. Something like that.
Cap, I'm just gonna tell you, you're having a little Kyle moment here. The statues, they don't hit buildings unless Monkey King's within 400 range of them. So,
All right, 400 range
buildings?
is 400 range is
Wait.
still enough for you to be down the hill and outside of tower range,
5
and the
seconds
statues
remaining.
can still.
And buildings, they hit heroes though, correct?
yeah, they'll hit
Yeah.
everything else.
Oh.
But he was saying that you leave them at the tier 3 and then walk away.
Well,
and,
you can't. You walk away 400 units.
Yeah, 400 units. Thank you.
Just a little bit less than 400 units, please.
I was actually wondering about how that mechanic worked. I was so confused. I'm like, why? I thought I was gonna take that tier 2 or tier 3, and then I had to go to wiki that one. So
Typical BSJ, never knows his
I think
mechanics.
all the do all the statues disappear when he dies? I think they should all disappear when he dies.
Yeah, it works like that with
This
Wukong's
ultimate,
command, right?
yeah.
So yeah, that makes sense to me. Good
I
call.
can see that.
I
That's a
like
good suggestion, Shiva.
Thank you.
It just I love Ags and what it does to I think it's the second most impactful item in terms of how it influences Dota 2's balance and meta next to BKB. But I feel like you should reconsider its power level if a hard carry is rushing Ags.
Virtus.pro
Like it
turn
means
to
the
pick.
hero concept is it's just weird. I've seen
It means
literal
the
first item
Ags is
Ags.
really strong.
Yeah.
Ags is not allowed to be strong. I only want to build Battle Fury on high carries.
Yeah. It's different, like Invoker as an example. His Ags is amazing.
Isn't it?
Right?
Isn't it
that's-
nice though to be having the flexibility that you can that you do have some carries that you go Ags burst on?
Virtus.pro continuing with this trend, and I've seen it a lot in China, where I was watching some of their drafts, and it felt like these team compositions were turning into these walls. Remember the strength-based core meta, where we were just having like the tankier the better sort of meta. I kind of feel like some of that when it comes to these team fights, seeing like offlane Dragonite in China. I feel like this similar lineup here for Virtus.pro in Game 1 and Game 2, where it's just hard to walk into these heroes, Wraith King, Tidehunter.
I totally agree, especially with all these items now that provide extra EHP, and the fact that just burst nowadays is really hard to execute. People are much more willing to use
10
buybacks.
seconds remaining.
I prefer to have the team that can make more mistakes. It's way harder to be caught out of position
5
as a
seconds remaining.
Hunter than it is as a Luna, as an example. And the Lion Tide, like that's so much lockdown and burst potential already. You have a Monkey King. I already love the VP line.
I mean, they also locked it in like as fast as they could, right? After the banning phase, they knew exactly what they wanted. They go for the same 3-4 as they did in the previous game, and we saw what it could do then. We saw Lion work out. I think that was also our first line that we had, at least on the CIS region and the European Upper Division. First Lion, and it worked. Wraith King this time around, though, will not be on the dock because that got banned out by Team Empire.
5
As Virtus.pro
seconds
banned out the Venomancer. What does Empire need for their last pick? What do we want to see?
Viper, banned.
Banned.
Nyx is also banned. Are there any break mechanics left? I mean, Viper would be the best pick, but yeah, that's gone. And they banned it themselves. That makes me very sad.
I think it's more about like the setup for team fights. I think right now they have Luna that needs space. They have Void who needs to make moves, and they don't really have like a hero that just sits in lane, and the Void Spirit rotates to it. So I would like the Venomancer would have been perfect. That was my first idea, but it was banned out by Virtus.pro. It's like a hero that's going to synergize better in lane with Clock.
Bristleback.
Against Monkey King.
Goodness,
it's funny because I thought about Bristle and I'm like, into Monkey,
5
yeah.
seconds remaining.
You
Virtus
try
Pro's
lane.
Turn to pick.
No, it's the Axe.
The Axe Phoenix combo. Okay.
But it's just, there's so much pressure on this Luna to deal damage, and you're against Lion Tide. Like, that's the concern I have. The VP lineup, if you ignore the rest of the lineup to all in one hero, you're
10
not
seconds
necessarily
remaining.
guaranteed to win a fight. Whereas if you kill the Luna, like, where is the
5
damage from a
seconds
Clock
remaining.
and an Axe?
We saw them previous games struggle with that damage. When they got the fight initiation they wanted, they couldn't finish it out because they didn't have the damage to do so. We got an Ursa pick as the last pick for Virtus.pro. 10 heroes on the board, Brian. What are you thinking?
Favorable mid matchup for GPK, much easier to execute team fight for VP, and I just don't see how they really play the map on the side of Team Empire. I said they needed a hero that like sits in lanes and allows the Void Spirit to rotate, and that's pretty much the complete opposite of that to pick Axe. He likes to play off map, he likes to be a ganker. They pretty much have a lot of the same thing again. I think there's a lot of overlap, and I'm not a fan of Team Empire's draft.
All right, thank you very much, Brian. We'll come back to you after the game. Kyle, what are you thinking? You had Team Empire as the underdogs, the wild card, the team that could create some upsets. This is their first series. How is your confidence in them now?
Starting to doubt myself. I think I may have been wrong again. I like what VP's got. I think that once again they're going to collapse on middle, as BSJ so put. It is a favorable matchup already for GPK, and I think that the carry disparity as well. Like Luna can't do anything to an Ursa once he's got that BKB Abyssal up, and too much pressure on to deal damage for the side of Empire.
Cap, what needs to happen for Empire to have a good game?
I don't know. I'm pretty shook right now just because I was very certain Empire's going to lose this game. I think they really need to be able to just roll forward off of this Axe Phoenix duo, be able to get really good Supernova team fights around it that allows the Luna to feel confident about running into these team fights. And I was sure they were going to lose, but then Kyle said, I think I might be wrong, which I feel like is kind of a paradox, because Kyle's always wrong, and then he thinks he might be wrong, so now I'm a little bit confused, but still going to go Virtus.pro.
All right, well, let's find out what's going to happen here in the second game. Can Empire put up a better performance? We're going to find out with Odie Pixel and Purge.
Let's find out indeed, Purge. I mean, looking at these lineups compared to game one, do you consider Empire's chances a bit better here, or do you think this one's going to be even more difficult?
I think they've got to be better than last game. The core matchups were just really solid. For Virtus.pro's advantage, they're still decent. Having Ursa against Axe-type heroes can be very good. Obviously, if you can get some early kills and effectively zone him on a lane, he's gonna have a really bad time. But with the same vein, we've seen saw Ursa's get pressured yesterday, which is pretty effective. So I have some faith if Void Spirit has an okay laning stage, if he doesn't get ganked again successfully by like the Lion plus support duo of whatever Kingslayer's playing, then maybe he can be the guy that pressures the Ursa really heavily and buys them more time in the. So I think seeing how they react to the likely rotations from the supports is going to be one of the cool different things that we might see this. And they're actually defending their safe lane and boundaries is not super common here.
I'd look to see if we can real poke on this, but to take the rune, try and chase down the app.
We'll turn this time.
And looking at some of the cores here, the Luna from Empire, I mean, we've seen some other teams try the Luna. it doesn't seem to really be with great success in most of the games that we've covered here in EU CIS. I mean, what are sort of your opinions on the hero right now, and why are we seeing teams go for the Luna?
Yeah, I've played her a little bit, so I feel semi-comfortable saying that she can have, like, her laning stage is a little vulnerable, but it's okay offensively. Like, you give your ally a lot of damage, but it being a clockwork kind of shows to me that she's just going to try to get as much farm as possible. I don't expect her to get kills, and in that sense, she's a little vulnerable to a hero like Lion, because between Lion and Tide, they should be able to kill her if clockwork makes big mistakes. So, I mean, she farms really fast, obviously, and she's fast in the sense that she applies a lot of magic damage with Eclipse, but it's a little hard to use it compared to some other carries, so I'm not 100% that it's going to work.
Smiling Knight is able to achieve this game. Team Midge, and obviously last game GPK had an excellent start to the game from lane to those first few early rotations. And do you think that we're going to see a similar thing here? Is just GPK could have got the lane start to give him that good beginning again?
Yeah, I assume that we will see rotations again, but it all comes down to like the wards that spot them rotating over. I think both cases, when they ganked mid last game, they neither support smoked, I'm pretty sure, as they approach, so they should be able to identify that this time, and if they can, it's going to buy more time for the supports to get levels, and they get the clockwork online a little bit faster, which you might otherwise have trouble with. So far, Monkey doing pretty good, 9-5 versus the 4-2 of Void Spirit. Is not a great matchup here for Void if he keeps getting slapped like this.
Sean, it's not really one that gets any better, right? I mean, I guess when he's got a couple of points to Resonant Pulse, it's a little easier to secure some CS with that, but overall he's going to have a lot denied from him by this Monkey King in the mid.
GPK is just doing such a good job here, contesting every last hit, basically. Running at his opponent when his opponent wants to go for range creeps, that kind of thing makes it very tough to play. Big double wave here. 2.5 almost for Empire on the top lane. Tide gonna get in there, try to anchor smash, but at least Smiling Knight doesn't have to deal with being a melee hero against anchor. So he's just gonna sit back, try to get his last hits.
And so far, able to do so here on the Luna. Struggles for Smiling Knight when it comes to the farm. I'm gonna see Knight trying to do his best to poke at DM, but Tide being Tide, not really caring too much about that at all.
Clock's got to be upset about that though, because before he went for that range creep and he did secure it, he got his mana drained pretty heavily, and now Clockwork 5 with no mana is pretty useless actually. He's got high raw HP, his damage is okay, but his armor's low, so any other engagements he does just aren't going to look good. So now this lane just looks kind of funky, and it actually makes the Lion support look really effective. The pull connects, but Tide can contest this, and actually he's just dead, I think.
They catch him with the stun. I mean, probably a little bit of him that's like, well, at least I'll have my mana back. But obviously still, definitely good news for VP and for DM there on the Tide, getting that first blood bonus.
He went to go start the pull. He thought his opponents were going to semi-disconnect, but then Tide just turns and gushes, and easy rundown at that point. If he has cogs, yeah, he can keep himself alive, but no mana for him. So for now, he's a courier. Brings new Tango set to Luna, and lane resumes.
Save as well, blocking the sport camp. Be any further chance for Empire to try and recover the lane position up top. Side lanes though, Empire's cores are farming fine. It really is just this mid lane where we are once again starting to see a really big difference. 25 and 8 against the 13 for 3 as GPK close to doubling that. Do nice to get saved.
Nicely done. They catch him in battery assault cogs, and Luna's damage output from range is excellent in this circumstance. Maybe can't attack through the cogs necessarily, but despite all this, Tide's still last hitting really well. 28 last hits for him compared to the 23 of Luna. They're gonna go on him actually. It's a big wave here though, so it's a little hard. Okay, this is great. Push the creeps away. Now he's taking full damage.
Stick charges, but your DM's getting very low, and they'll be able to get the kill. Yeah, Eknal finding some, a perfect position there for the cogs.
He really did. And it looked a little iffy because there's so many creeps there, but like you said, the cog push was excellent. And in this whole time, Luna's right-clicking, Clock is right-clicking, and they get that bonus damage. So that's a big kill that I don't think VP expected to happen here. Going similar build on 5 this game. and some fight bottom.
Nightfall. Try and jump in, but won't be able to lock down onto save. Still has a dive available. Sure, tanky for him to fully commit on right now.
They're both last sitting well. X is sitting at 27, Ursa is sitting at 31, but the big disparity is still going to come from the mid lane. And in some ways, we haven't seen the supports roam, but I think it just clearly doesn't matter. GPK could get a kill with a support roam, but he's also just beating his opponent by sticking mid here by himself. So I think the one thing that's going to change things is obviously Void's Spirit is much better at ganking than Monkey is. See him in trouble though.
Tushra able to step up, get the call. Burn it from CIS Spirits, bringing Kingslayer down. He should tick out to the Battle Hunger, and he will. He'll fall, but now the response is there from GPK. Gonna head towards CIS. He'll find it. Maybe do something about Tushra. The bound that's already being used. That level 1 jump, I have the chance to chase down. Anything else here?
And Line picks up the DD at the top rune. He rotated over, so no DD to go on Void Spear, which would have been huge right now. Refills his bottle, can use that to gank with Astral Steps. So really big play by Save there while the Monkey King was gone from the mid lane. So
We're not going to mid. Got enough lockdown, but they do. They'll be able to find him. That, as you said, the DD
and
rune
the boots.
making the difference.
And he killed the courier with boots on it too. So painful.
I mean, that was they knew that GPK was coming back round. They hit him with the scan, so they knew that he was by that small camp. I guess just wasn't quite prepared for him to come sort of about 10 seconds after the scan ended. Yeah, definitely an unfortunate, painful death there from Gwyn, and as you say, Save making that move and being around that area, just securing that opportunity.
It's possible they didn't communicate that he had Jingu Mastery, because that was the big difference maker. His 4th hit was the one that killed the Phoenix. So he comes to lane and gets a huge Boundless Strike and a couple big damage hits. If not for all of that extra damage, or maybe even the DD on Lion, he stays alive there, even though he would have taken a lot of damage. So
Okay.
by himself now.
He's hunting for more. Zeknut. Try and run, but Save. Got the extra bit of lockdown. No, actually looking to try and deny himself to some of the neutrals. It's not going to happen. GPK finishing him off very easily here with the 3 points in his Boundless Strike, and immediately down bottom. I mean, look how quick GPK is just moving across the map. He's straight down to here. Tushra will get the call off, so we'll buy time for him to step back. They're going to dive back in. Brought Smiling Knight down here. Smiling Knight does have the Eclipse ready to go. Boundless. Down as the two of them. Smiling Knight still trying to chase in, and Grimbligh's coming in from the side. Looking to get the catch on the Kingslayer, and with the set up into the Lucid Beam, they'll find one. Now diving in for more. Gwyn turns over towards Nightfall. Nightfall still yet to hit the six. Doesn't have to be ready to rely on, but TM, he's in with the Ravage onto both of the claws. Sets up for the kill onto Gwyn. Now Smiling Knight, he's pretty deep and he has to run, but they're chasing. GPK comes in from the side. He's not even using the Eclipse. Knows that there's not going to be enough damage to bring any of these heroes down with him. As VP respond with the numbers, and will manage to come out on top of that trade there, holding on around their tower against a team, you know, Empire. They really tried to make something happen there, bringing the Luna in.
Yeah, I mean, it was good that Void Spirit goes in to get a kill there, but he was a little overextended by the end of the CM finally falling, and all it took was Tide teleporting in with enough mana for that fight to just be completely one-sided. So, and in the meantime, Lion got another stack off on the large camp. He roamed mid, he got some more experience, and he's almost level 6, which is an excellent position to be on Lion. Get the ulti up faster, and now your ganks just become even simpler. So, no deaths on Nightfall either. Like, the net worth is just looking amazing for VP side. 4K advantage at 9 minutes is ridiculous.
And you like this sort of build-up as well, this game on the mid Monkey King. GPK's, he's just going to try and get this Deso online as soon as he can.
For sure. It's going to make his pressure a little bit easier. Like, most of the time we see something like an Ags to accelerate your farming and stuff like that, but he's playing Space Creator. He's been doing this constantly since he started TPing around the map. He's going for kills, and having minus armor against low armor heroes like Phoenix or Clockwork is actually really effective. Might not be the best against like Luna type heroes, but right now this is a perfect circumstance to have some minus armor.
Start things on to say does have the dive. Quite tree of GPK there, so GPK is able to instantly hop off, continue to chase. He's trying to get out of the map with the Sunray, And he's going to get dragged straight back into the map. He can't escape the game. Another kill is granted for GPK.
Up bottom now, he's going to keep going. He's got ulti.
He's just so quick. He's so quick with these movements. I mean, we could pretty much just keep the camera on GPK as he is finding every single bit of action from top to bottom. No hesitations, no downtime at all for this Monkey King. As 5-0-3 now being involved in 8 of the 9 kills. It really is just sort of the GPK show.
I really had doubts that he was going to be able to roam effectively, but he's like doing some classic Thompson material, going mid on Monkey King, doing well in his lane, and then he's just moving around, dumpstering everyone else in the game. Clockwork is still not level 6 yet, the hero that stabilized the lane a little bit, but can't actually gank until he gets that picked up. And the rest of the heroes in the game are just trying to catch up. Luna's doing okay on net worth with the Mask Madness picked up and queuing up a Yasha into Ags, but it's going to be a while until she feels really good in the fight here.
Trying to use the potential group up to go for a tower. Eknar on the side does find Save. Save trying to get his way out of the cogs, but he's not going to get out of this. Gwyn follows up, gets the kill. Over towards mid. GPK's already made the jump in onto the Tushra. Zach tries to retreat. They've got the Ravage out onto all the 3 of them. Balance strike down, finishes off the Ash. GPK turns over towards the second, takes out Gwyn. They take down Eknar. As it's just too much of a team to push into. Each time, DM, he's got the Ravage up, and there's always just going to be a recipe for disaster trying to fight into this tide underneath the tower.
I mean, it was perfect circumstances for Empire considering though, right? Like Clock, the least farmed hero on his team, ends up solo killing the 4 position here with a little help from the Void Spirit. But everything after that just got a little too clumped. The raw HP on the Virtus.pro side is really high. The Hood on Tide at this point, he loves to walk into an Eclipse at this phase of the game. He'd much rather eat that up over his allies. And it was also the fact that Monkey King was able to start things off getting effectively 4 hits in on Axe. Axe does not have Blink Dagger yet, so Axe isn't able to be as effective a hero as Tidehunter is at this moment in time. Net worth not even counting, so really hard game for Empire to take the fight, but they do get the tier 1 at least.
Top, they do have a DD on Gwyn, so some good damage to set up onto Nightfall, and no ult for a few seconds. So there isn't any safety for the... so there's Nightfall taken out. Quick solid jump there. That smoke up from Gwyn catches him off guard. Time down bottom, Smiling Knight, he's alone. GPK is in upon him. Kills like this from GPK, is that pretty much giving him the deso it has? So you're gonna have this 12-minute desolator done on the Monkey King.
A lot of minus armor. Curiously, no Orb of Corrosion this game for the Monkey, no Orb of Venom. He's just confident in his high movement speed. Phase really pays off in this way, that he's just going to be faster than every other hero on the entire map. So see what he does with the Deso now. -7 armor is like a 30% damage increase or something like that. He's maxed out his Boundless Strike levels really early to just try to maximize how much damage he can do after getting these Jingu Mastery stacks. So who's the next victim? That's what I'm curious about. He's not even farming these stacks. There's like a perfectly good 3 stack here that he could just kill instantly, but no. He wants to kill cores.
Oh, he wants blood.
Farming.
He wants blood, and he doesn't want to annoy his Ursa. I'm sure Nightfall's laying claim to those stacks with his Battle Fury. It's also now complete, so his farm's going to continue to go up massively, and at a pace that Empire's going to struggle to deal with. Bottom lane, they're going to find the setup. In they go on a Smiling Knight. It's an easy kill. The egg will be popped, but far out of range of anyone on VP. I don't care about that Supernova at all. Empire still with 4 heroes around here, but still so hard to get anything going against VP, especially when GPK is in the neighborhood.
There's nothing that Luna can do in that circumstance. She's on strength treads. She's at max net worth that she could have more or less. But against -7 armor from Deso and -4 armor from Gush, she just dies instantly. That was like 1 stun and she's going down. Like, how can she play the front line? Somebody else has to do it, and Axe can't until he gets a Blink Dagger. His net worth is behind where it should be probably, but we're just really seeing the net worth disparities make it very hard for Empire to fight as long as VP is in position, and they have been.
And all these kills and action that GPK has been finding, the level difference also really starting to add up. You know, level 12 and this Monkey King closest in the game, level 10, you know, sort of clear 2 levels ahead of anyone on the side of Empire. Going for that BKB next. I mean, once GPK has that, Empire are going to struggle massively to take him down. It will be a long time until this Luna has any sort of serious physical punch to cut through a Monkey King, especially when he has the Wukongs out.
And on the bright side, Empire still have their abilities ready, but so do their opponents. Rabbit is still available, and Tide just finishes Blink Dagger. So if they do get a decent catch or group up a little bit too much, you're going to see a Ravage followed by Monkey King. Oh, hookshot almost catching him there. That could have been really good. Don't know if they would have had enough damage, but...
Yeah, it would have been pretty deep if it'd gone in and got that latch behind the tower.
Maybe some other follow-up, it could have been okay, but... Scary. Luna's shaving off the Yasha, now he's just going... actually, I'm sorry, that's not... He does have Yasha coming. So a little bit more movement speed, but still low HP.
Win. Look for the kill onto Save. Save by himself sometime, and as you say, GM having Ravage up. Empire's got to be careful how they go in on this. Simulate off to the side. Gwyn, he's realized this is not an area for him to continue to poke.
We'll turn this tide to our advantage.
Really do have to respect fighting around DM.
He could have ravaged at any point, Blink and Ravage, but he's just buying time. He knows that if his opponents don't take this tier 1, they can't farm the jungle. And on the opposite side of the map, Ursa is getting literally everything he wants. Full Yasha finish after Battle Fury's network is 3,000 ahead of what Luna has. And one more item, and he's just going to be able to solo kill any hero on the enemy team.
That's not. Stepping in, he does have hook shot. He's tanking the tower. DM's just going to come over the counterplay, jump him with the Ravage onto the two of them. It's a solid call from Futura, getting him out to the side of the egg, and that will allow the Super Nova to go off. Now the problem is they actually have damage after this combo to get any of the kills. It doesn't look like it. They try and step forward. Nightfall's picked up a triple. It was a great call, but 7k down, and as you can see, they just didn't have anything to actually take anyone down after hitting them with this call into Supernova stun.
I think they used all their abilities on Empire really well, especially Phoenix diving to that tree line and dropping the egg. He knew the trees would get destroyed and he could catch Monkey, but GPK jumped on the ground in anticipation of this, and that's why he still got a lot of his impact off in that fight. Most importantly, eventually throwing the stun and the Deso on the Luna, who gets bursted down. So they tried, and it was fairly well executed, but the network disadvantage is really showing now. The Nurse almost has twice the net worth of the Luna at this moment.
It's getting rough. It's getting rough this game too. Arguably rougher than game one was with some of the sort of timings, and you say the numbers that we're seeing on these core matchups. VP, they're ready to keep the pressure on. Smokes up. Roshan is there. Of course, very easy for them to take with the Xerxa lineup. They want to do so, and of course having the Deso and GPK. But they've got a lot of options here. VP can go for Rose, they can go for kills. Pretty much do what they want right now. The strength that they have. Gwyn trying to start something here in the mid lane, over to the side. Save, he found the setup, found the opening. Wants to tutor up as he tries to get the call off. It's not going to happen. The hook shot comes in from Eknar in onto Save. Save might go down here, so at least finding the lion. But 2 heroes out, Eknar as well to fall. As it's just another trade. BP continue to come out on top and save. He doesn't want to waste any time out of the game. He's just going to buy back so he can continue to play.
Double damage.
I guess so. They're just happy tipping him. He doesn't care. He's already got Blink Dagger. Like, actually,
he doesn't need anything else.
Gold mean much to him?
Yeah.
It's not much at this point.
Yeah.
He's so set. He just needs to be there to initiate. He's the clearest guy that can initiate, catch any hero, and guarantee that Monkey King kills them afterwards. And that's actually an insane threat. Monkey has huge mobility built into his toolkit. Lion just has to be there to disable the place sort of close to Monkey, and Monkey effectively is his tear plus 6 seconds of disable. So, very good to have Save on the map still.
Off the rest. Done. How's this BKB looking? He's got the hammer well onto his. Empire, knowing that their only real way back into this is to find some sort of big catch, big pick off. Keep trying to hit BP with the smoke. If they can catch them unprepared, but doesn't look to happen as VP very solidly as the full 5-man, taking this tier 2 tower top. They'll start to sweep up here, Empire.
Radiant's
See if they can
middle
find any
tower
sort of
is
jump
under
onto the
attack.
backliners, but it's going to be very
Dire's
hard.
top tower is under attack.
A lot of heroes right now. Axe calls to be the big thing with Blink there. He's got to grab like 2 heroes at least with good egg position. Clockwork disrupting the backline.
Nightwatch is running in, say it. Has to dive away. Wukon's commands down. There's the Ravage. Onto the 3 of them. Sets up for Eknar to be completely ignored as GPK jumps over towards the Luna. Patusha does find the call. They'll pop the Eclipse, but they just killed the Luna so damn quickly. As it's a team wipe. VP cleaning up every single member of Empire. As it's only the CM Kingslayer going down for VP.
Nightfall played that fight perfectly. He ran up to the high ground knowing he's got Aegis, he's got Enrage. There's almost nothing that he could run in that he's scared about. Even if he gets like called into Eclipse and dies, he's got Aegis, right? So what he does is he runs in the back line and he just follows the Phoenix. He just ran after him, forced dive out, and then continued running at him. He knows that he doesn't need to participate in the fight because they're so far ahead, so he just kept zoning him. Ends up killing Phoenix over by the Roche pit. No egg popped, and it just made sure that the Monkey King is completely on pressure. There's like no big team fight swing that was going to protect the Luna.
Nice. Got about half the goal for the Axe, but until he has that, he's still going to have to sort of stand in the midst of these fights to get an opportunity for the Eclipse. And he just dies so quickly. Mid lane Gwyn will manage to jump out. Here we go. I mean, Smiling Knight, Gwyn, they're running at them. A lot of VP around. Really keep their distance and be careful how they try and make the jump on them. Stay. He's been committed on. He'll buy back straight away. Hook shot attempted from Eknar. Petusha getting the call off onto GPK. GPK, he's still got the BKB. They turn over, take the supernova out. Immediately, Petusha will fall to die back from Stay. Smiling Knight cannot escape this, as we may just see the G's be dropped pretty soon. And there they are, on cue. The GGs are there. Empire will tap out of this one. 32-9, 20k lead. VP here in this game too. So they'll take the series 2-0, and they made it look pretty simple. This was no messing around from VP. Incredibly smooth stuff around just across the board from them in the series purge.
Yeah, and it was a little different than last game. Last game felt like they just executed really well. This one felt just like a complete outskill, that GPK just did whatever he wanted on the map. He dumpstered his lane.